Hello everybody, I'm back today to show you how to make a nice, easy, quick card with very little dies, suitable for men, women, children. Change what's on the front, but we're looking at this effect, this channel effect, and to make that we're going to be using the new double stitched zigzags, which have got a cutting edge and stitching. Okay, so to make this card, I'm going to be using my stitched rectangles to do my mats and layers. So I've got set A and set B. I've explained the difference between these in the previous video, but the set B fit in between A to give you a much narrower mat and layer. If you've only got one set, perfectly fine for this card. I've also got, to make the channel part, the middle sized from the zigzag dies. And then you could use any decorations you want. I'm thinking of a mail card. So I've got these Best Dad dies and the tools by Sue Wilson. So to make my mats and layers, I'm going to use B1 for my darkest layer, which is going to be from this Bluebell felt mark card from Creative Expression. And I want a thin layer, so what I'm going to do is come over to my A set and choose the next size down. So I'm going to cut that out of a lighter blue, so I'm going to use the Arctic blue felt mark. And then to get the next layer, I'm going to go back to my B set, and this is now the second one in, so I call this my B2. And this will be cut from white. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way for a second. And we're just going to cut our layers. As I said, B1, you can see I do mark my dies, B1. So these are going to fit through my Platinum 6. Now I'll probably use my bigger machine later on to cut the zigzags, just because of the orientation of my card. So this is my biggest layer. Now most of this is going to be covered by my next layer. So while I'm here, what I'm going to do is cut out from the middle some of my sentiments and tools. If you've got enough scrap card left over, use that, but why waste the card which you're not going to see? So I've got my dad and best. Which I'm going to put aside for a second. And I love these little tools. Great for men's cards. So I've got a little one and the saw. So now I've got my first mat ready. So now I'm going to take the next one down and I'm going to cut that out of my lighter blue. Now I've got to be more careful with this one because we are going to see part of this because of the channel effect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my sentiment out of this bit. So I've got my best Dad. Now with the saw and the spanner, all I'm going to see is the handles. So that's all I'm going to do. This is from a previous project. Is cut off those bits. You'll see why later on. Okay. So I'm going to poke out my best. And Dad. And the handles. So I've cut the light ones out as well, even though I did the dark ones earlier, just because I haven't decided yet which ones I'm going to use. I'll wait until I've made the card and decide which looks best. Okay, so we're done with our sentiments. We're done with our tools. So now we're going to cut a white one. So this is just, again, slightly smaller than our middle layer. So all my layers are now complete. And if you remember, we gutted that last one. So this is now where we're going to make our channel. So first of all, I'm going to grab some tape, put it down here. And I'm going to work out where I want my channel. So I'm going to go here, just so it's quite symmetrical. I've got a little bit coming up each side. And I'm going to tape it down. Then I'm going to take my second one and work out how big a channel I want. So I'm going to have Best Dad on it, so I'm going a little bit more than that. There, a bit more. And I'm going to tape it down. Okay. So this is now where I'm probably going to use my bigger machine. Just because if I send it through like that, oh no, it will fit. That was more luck than judgment that it fitted. Okay. So we've got our zigzag. But what we want to do now is create the channel. So I've got my bottom piece. What I'm going to do is move this middle one, and I'm going to line my zigzags up to the edge. And when I send that through, it's just going to cut a tiny little slither off there, but it's also going to keep that stitch detail which we want. Again, off the top one, I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to send them through. So now what's happened, we've taken off a tiny slither from each of them. And that's going to give us that channel effect seeing through to the lighter blue. So let's move that out of the way. Bring our lighter blue one in. So we're going to put our white ones on, and then this will fit in that space. But it looks a bit flat, so we're going to use some 3D foam to give it some height. So we're going to start with the top one. This is quite a big piece, so you want to be quite generous with your foam. And I'm going to cut squares and use them that way so that the points of our zigzag don't sag. Just going to add a thin one here. And I've got a tiny bit which I don't want to droop, so I'm going to put that there. So now I'm just going to peel it off. And I'm going to line it up here. Now I'm going to do the bottom one. Again, I'm going to work on a diagonal, just so those points get into those corners. And by attaching the bottom first, it'll just make lining up that zigzag one for the center, for the channel, easier to line up. So I'm just keeping that stitching even and putting it down. So now this, you could glue flat if you wanted that dimension of up and down, but I quite like the shadow effect you get from the channel. So what I'm going to do, again, working on the diagonals. A bit too long. But it fits there. Again, a bit too long. I'm going to use these little bits. Still too big to hold up those pieces. Okay. Again, peel it off. And we've got the basis of our card with a channel where you can see through to the lighter side underneath. So what I'm going to do now, before I add any of my dimension, is add some double-sided tape. And we're going to mount this onto the dark blue. So I don't want to put any glue here because it's not going to stick there. So what I'm going to do is add some glue around these shapes. And there we have it, the basis of our card. And that's all I've used is the stitch rectangles and the zigzags. And because they're double pierced with the zigzags, you get the nice stitching above and below. And we've got the nice stitching matching all around our card. So what I'm going to do now is attach this to a card base. Now to make my card base, I took a piece of the white card, an A4 piece, and folded it in half. But it was a bit too long. So what I did, A4 folded in half, I cut it down so that it's 7 1/8. So it'll still fit into a standard envelope. Make sure it's the right way. Okay. So now it's just a case of decorating it as you wish. So I've got my dad in dark blue, in the bluebell and the Arctic blue. So I think I'm going to put the dark blue on top, or I'm going to put the Arctic blue on top with, yeah, I think I'll go for that. So I'm just daubing a little bit of glue, and I'm just offsetting it a tiny bit, and glue this. Oops, it got onto my card. So here's my dad. Now I'm just going to do the same with the best. Just poke all the bits out. So again, some glue on the back of our Arctic blue one. Oops, there's always that one bit left. So much easier to do when you're not on camera. There we are. So I'm just going to add this the card. And there we go. Best Dad matching our layers. But we're just going to add a little bit of extra detail just to make it a bit more special. So I'm going to cut the tools out again, but this time on some mirror card. Probably not the best. You can see my tripod on me. So I'm cutting the same tools I had last time, plus a wrench and a spanner. I don't need any blue for them, they're all silver. So I probably should have used some grey card rather than silver for the video. But the mirror looks really effective. So when you look at the pliers and the saw, there's actually some embossed detail. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow those embossed lines. And I'm going to glue it onto the mirror card. So now this is going to tie our tools in with the colour scheme on our card. Same with the pliers. That's the bit I'm going to see in metal. So I'm just going to trim the rest off. And glue on the pliers. And obviously my spanner and my wrench don't need any work, just need to poke out that hole. So now it's just a case of working out where you want your tools. It's not that one, I went for the dark blue. Are going to go. I don't know if you can see on the camera the embossed detail on the wrench. It looks really good in real life. So where should we put them? Let's get that little bit out from there. There should we go. I don't want to cover up my channel too much, but I also want it to complement it. So we'll have the blue showing. Because that's stuck to the saw, it's lifted up a little bit, so this one can now tuck underneath. And we've got like a cascading tool effect. I think that zigzag complements those zigzags. So as you can see, nothing complicated. Change the sentiment, add the flower, and you've got a female card. Add something fun and funky, you can have a child's card. It's really simple, really effective, and that channel works nicely. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.